Hello, my name is Chris McKay, and this is the part of the night where I would usually be welcoming you to whatever entertainment that we were going to be presenting to you. And while, of course, I welcome you and I'm grateful that you're here and listening, I have to be clear that I hate that I have to be here tonight. I hate that I feel compelled to speak out in such a way. When my brother Benji and I created Board Music Geek Radio, we swore that we would go on the air and tell exactly how we felt, and we would not be stopped by anyone. So, in a time such as the one we're in right now, it's impossible to not speak out. In fact, I guess we could just keep our mouths shut, right? Plenty of people have told me to. But I would feel morally wrong if I did not speak out. And I do not understand those who don't. If you follow me on social media, you know that I'm fairly opinionated. Not long after the latest mass shooting took place, who knows which one is the latest mass shooting by the time you hear my voice saying this. But not long after the one that was the most recent huge one here, I saw some people posting about their opinions on what happened. And of course, their rant inevitably turned to caring more about guns than the slaughtered people. It made me feel sick to my stomach, as it always does, because it's inevitable when you see such a sickness in people that has been groomed into them by salesmen and by the politicians who are owned by those salesmen. What bothered me the most was the way that this person signed off. And it just rung in my mind knowing that there's a politician out there right now whose slogan is God, guns, babies. That is sick. It is truly sick to be comparing God, much less the Christian God, the Prince of Peace, to someone who would connect themselves with weapons of murder. Of course, this person ended their plea for mercy on the guns with "God save the USA." And I responded because I had to. I said to them, God will not save the USA as long as lies are continually being spread by those who find their guns more important than human lives. The lies that claim that the lack of God is the reason for these murders implicitly say that God was not in all of those churches. People have been murdered by guns. And if God was not in those churches, where is their God? As for me, I know that no just God would save any country who has been shown the way by the rest of the civilized world and how to make mass shooting events happen less frequently and not done a damn thing. Those who care more about guns than people pretend that there's not a rest of the planet Earth with billions of other people who don't have to live under the shadow and the constant threat of possibly being killed in a mass shooting. They say, hey, it's a mental illness problem. Fuck that lie. There's mental illness all over planet Earth, in every nation on this planet. And yet, there's no mass shooting epidemic in any of those other countries with mental illness. Hey, this is not about the guns. This is about violent entertainment. This is about violent movies, violent music, the internet, and all the violence one can see. Bullshit. all of those entertainments, the music, the TV, the movies, the internet, all over the world, every nation on earth. And yet, the United States is the only nation with a mass shooting epidemic. They say it's the lack of God being removed from the county square. It's a fucking lie. Look at countries who identify as being atheist. They have little to no mass shootings, not only not regularly, but some have none ever. What does that say? That says that's also utter and complete bullshit. Why is the United States of America the only nation in the civilized world with a mass shooting epidemic? The answer is clear and obvious. It is only because of the over-availability and the extreme lethality of the weapons that we allow anybody to get a hold of. That is the only reason. That is the sign of a sick society that we allow this to continue. Because at this point, you need to understand this. Kids being sliced into bloody chunks of meat in seconds by a weapon that no one outside of a war zone should ever have is preferable to people who won't stand up and take the basic steps. Those people who keep their mouths shut or don't speak out would rather have those parents have to collect DNA from their children's combs or toothbrushes so that their bodies that are blown to bits, sliced, just like I said, just lumps of bloody meat. They'd rather that than to step up and do what we know works, because it works everywhere on planet Earth except where it hasn't been tried in the United States of America. There is a mental illness problem, but it's not mental illness leading people to take guns and shoot people, because if it were, it would be a problem everywhere in the world as well as here. The mental illness problem is in the societal mental illness of a country that has 100 million more guns than human beings. That is a sick society. A sick society is one that allows this to continue. A sick society is one who can just say, oh, there was a mass shooting. Thoughts and prayers. What's for dinner tonight, honey? Why would God save the USA when the USA chooses to make it more possible for murderers to kill people indiscriminately as quickly and as many people as possible? Why would God, who has shown us how to not have it happen very often, if at all, when we won't listen? The Bible says faith without works is dead. Saying, oh, we send you our thoughts and prayers. That's faith without works. That is callous. It is heartless. It is cruel at this point to not have the guts to do anything. We made this problem. I'm not talking about Republicans. I am not talking about the right wing or any people in specific. I am blaming you as well. I am blaming me, because this is our society. We are all to blame. Why would God step in to save us from ourselves when we clearly don't want to be saved? We know exactly what to do to make this happen less often, but we prefer this. Try to justify living in a country where a 9-year-old elementary school student has to try to process what combat veterans have trouble processing and, traumatizes them for the rest of their lives. What kind of country allow a child to have to go through this? Yes, all the prayers in the world are great, but it's our voices and actions that ultimately make a difference. And that makes it our fault. That makes it our fault that this keeps happening, that we choose this. And we do choose this. We choose this when we decide not to speak out. We choose this when we decide, hey, I can miss this election. We choose this when we say, well, I don't agree with this politician on this, but, there's some other things. We choose this when we let politicians get away with not representing us. Almost every person in this country wants these common sense law additions in regard to guns and gun violence. Again, the gun salesmen and the politicians that those gun salesmen own are lying to you. They are lying to you because they can. Let's review. They say, we just need more guns in the equation. That'll stop the gun violence. That'll stop the gun violence because then you'll have the good guy with the gun. Because the only thing that can stop a bad guy with the gun is a good guy with the gun, right? Yeah, like the security officers in Columbine. Like the security officer at that store in Buffalo, New York, who actually shot the murderer as he was coming in. And you know what happened? Well, the shooter was wearing body armor that he legally was able to purchase to protect himself. To protect himself while he committed mass murder. And he was shot by the security officer. He was shot by the good guy with the gun. The murderer shrugged and executed the security officer on the spot. It's a lie. Look at the school in Texas. How many armed police officers were there from before the killer entering the school? How many were there while it was happening? There were at least 40 armed officers, armed good guys with the gun. There were at least 19 armed police officers, SWAT team guys with armor in the school within feet of the killer, even as he continued to kill. How many good guys with guns do you need for it to fucking work? Because it doesn't work when it matters. It's a lie. They are lying to you. You know how else you can know that they're lying to you? Look up the information on an NR meeting, one of their ginormous conventions where they spread these lies and this poison to those who lick it up and then spew it back in our faces with their rhetoric and their violence. You can't take guns into the NRA convention. Why is that? Don't they want it to be safe there? Don't they want good guys with guns there? Because, that's a gun-free zone. Gun-free zones don't work, right? Is it gun-free zones don't work unless it's an NRA convention? What the fuck is this lying? The NRA conventions are gun-free zones because people are less likely to get murdered. The gun industry is a scam of evil proportions at this point. I understand the need for personal protection. I grew up with guns. I had 2 rifles on my wall when I was really little, and I had a .22 pistol under my bed until I was basically an adult. So I know shooting. I can still outshoot a lot of people. I'm not scared of guns, but I'm scared that people will continue to misuse them because they can. That's why all of these murders happen in America only, because they can happen here and nowhere else. But, hey, you're not going to get a gun into the NRA convention, and you're not going to get the gun in there because it's not safe, because they're lying. What other industry can you think of that the entire business model is, you'd better buy my business's product to protect yourself from being killed by somebody else who buys my product and comes after you. How sick is that? Just at its core. That is evil. And the politicians, the Ted Cruzes, there's so many we could name here on the wrong side that they call the right side of this political spectrum. And any of the ones in the middle that don't speak out, they're just as bad. I don't give a damn if they've got a low ranking by the NRA. If they're not fighting against it, they're part of the problem, period. They are lying to you. Stop accepting their lies. You know, people like Ted Cruz, as long as they continue to get that green, they don't care about all of that red flesh of children all splattered around the school that's unrecognizable, so that their parents have to get DNA to even have their children identified. That's evil. They are lying to you when Ted Cruz says, we just need door control, not gun control, door control. Yeah, we need door control. And there needs to be one door in and one door out. That's the kind of shit that gets people killed, like everybody, when they can't get in or out during a fire or a tornado or a natural disaster or a structural problem. That's asinine. And it's evil. And they're lying to you. You know, people on that side with the NRA that keep spreading this poison and these deaths among us all don't mind riding in the limo to the cemetery as long as the driver will swing by the bank for them to make a damn deposit of their blood money. They are lying to you. They are lying to all of us. We can fight them. We can take them out of power. Any lobbying should be illegal in this country. Left, right, center, up, down, I don't damn it care. It's illegal. All gerrymandering should be illegal. It's legalized vote tampering, just like lobbying is legalized bribing. It's evil, it's anti-American, and it undermines everything to do with a representative republic. Another lie they'll give you is that this is something new. This is to do with the violent culture, the internet, the movies, the TV. We've addressed this. They have all of those things all over the country. But I had several people come at me saying, well, you know, we was disciplined when I was little in the 70s, and this kind of thing wouldn't happen. It wouldn't happen because we was raised better and we didn't have all this violence. No, you're either a liar, you're ignorant, or you don't know history. Say whatever you want. There has never, ever, ever been a case of a gun death where there wasn't a gun involved. Ever. Are there things we can do to reach out to potentially violent people? Of course. But we need to be smart, and we need to be willing to fight. Because here's the thing, we keep taking the high road, we say, but it's bullshit at this case, because you know, when we've had people with the low road tunneling under the high road for so long, eventually the high road is undermined to the point that it crumbles, and we're all here. And it's a war for the soul and the heart and the decency and lives. There is no such thing as a pro-life member of the NRA. There is no such thing as a pro-life person who chooses to do nothing in the face of gun violence except buy more guns from gun salesmen. Look at every mass shooting and then look at the profits of the NRA immediately follow. Every time there's a spike in sales, and that's the point. Those murders are very good business, and they would like that to continue. Are you going to let them? Are we going to let them? They'll always say, this is not the right time. Just wait. Not now. Not now. Give the victims' families time to mourn. But those victims will never recover. And we're all victims of this mass delusion, this mass insanity, this mass craziness that would create a country with 100 million more guns than humans. That is sick. Not now? Fuck that. Right now. because it's not too early. It's too late. Yes, we can limit this. We know we can. The rest of the world proves that we can every single day. And if I have any listeners here right now from other parts of the country, I know you don't understand the need to bring God into the equation. And honestly, it shouldn't be part of the equation. But to speak in American, you have to acknowledge and you have to understand and speak that language, because it is a big part of who this nation is, regardless of the fact that it should be separated from the state. I'm going to circle back around to what I said at the beginning. God will not save anyone from themselves when God has provided the way already. The way is what the rest of the world are doing. I submit that you are ignoring God by allowing salesmen who profit from murders to continue to do so and not do anything. I submit that you are being lied to and manipulated by those who take advantage of your faith and your belief. There's very little lower than that, but there's very little lower than anyone that profits off of death, destruction, and murder. I will add this to what I said earlier. There is a chapter in the Bible in Isaiah, it's 1:15. It says, "When you spread out your hands in prayer, I hide my eyes from you. Even when you offer many prayers, I am not listening. Your hands are full of blood." And that is America in the year 2022. What are you going to do? What are we going to do? We can change this. We must change this. If you do not, you are spitting in the face of your God as people destroy your God's creation. It was those other people's turn last week to die senselessly and horrifically and indescribably. It's these other people's turn today, tonight, tomorrow. It could be my turn tonight, the next day, next week. You know how I know? I know because I'm not allowed to forget, because I regularly get threats from so-called peace-loving Christians who refuse to believe the clear truth that they have been manipulated into becoming something other than Christians and that they are now hippo-Christians. Because otherwise they wouldn't be threatening death for my opinions while simultaneously saying that they're pro-life and freedom of speech, except for those of us who disagree with them and need to die. That is not Christian. That is not pro-life. It is evil. It is sickness. And I hope that those people will one day redeem themselves to reality and humanity, and even the books that they claim to base their lives on, with having forgotten if they ever even knew what it was all about. It's about peace. It's about love. It's about life. It's about creation. And they've allowed themselves to be perverted by salesmen who couldn't give a damn about them. We can change this. We should change this. And we must change this. Aren't you embarrassed as an American? This is the only country in which these mass shootings happen regularly. And there's only one reason, and that is the over-availability of guns and the extreme lethality of them. Thank you for listening to Board Music Geek Radio. I hope that this served as some kind of cathartic or healing or just something to make you understand that we are in this together, and we must not allow ourselves to be numbed to the point that we don't even feel that, because that's inhuman. It could be your turn tomorrow. It could be your child's turn. It could be your mother. It could be your father. It could be your cousin. It could be your childhood friend. And the longer we go without fixing these issues, the more likely it is to happen. And it's inevitable that will happen to someone that you know. And as much as I hope that it doesn't, if it ever does
happen to someone you love or to you, I hope you have time to remember whether or not you had done anything at all to make it less likely to happen. Good night.